The first step is admitting that you have a problem. Hey everybody, Rabbi David here, your Torah Tech guy, and here on Torah Tech Tips, where I strive to give you great tips for your great Torah. So I need to talk to you today, and I'm live because I really didn't want to pre-plan this. This summer, when we were all planning for the high holidays, a lot of synagogues were spending a lot of money on technology, on tools, on fancy schmancy streaming tools and cameras and mixers and interfaces and all this other stuff. And I argued hard against that. I argued that we really don't need to be spending thousands upon thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to be able to create really compelling, engaging Torah that we can then share with our congregants, with our learners, with everyone. I kind of lost that battle a few times. But I was reminded of it this past week. So I have my setup here, and yeah, I've spent some money on my setup, but I'm always kind of looking for the new thing, right? I have the shiny object problem where if it's shiny, I want it. And I had my one camera set up, and I had a second camera that I hadn't been using. And I decided, I'd really like to use that camera, but boy, how am I going to bring that into the stream? How am I going to use that? What's the interface going to be? And I went out and I bought one of these. This is called an ATEM Mini Pro. Now, it's been a little bit in tech news lately because they just announced a brand new ATEM, which it's bigger and it has more inputs, but I got the very base model, the ATEM Mini. It's not the Pro even, it's not the ISO, it's just the ATEM Mini. And the ATEM Mini, you plug in your cameras in the tushy of it, and it's a switcher. It's a quick, you just press the buttons at the bottom and it switches your cameras. I got it, I waited for a long time. Like it was, FedEx was really slow because of the storms, and so every day I was checking FedEx, where is it? It finally came, I think, a week and 2 days after it was supposed to come. I got it, I set it up, I plugged everything in, I played with it, then I unplugged it, I put it back in the box, and I returned it. Because it's not about the technology, it's not about the tools, it's not about the toys, it's about the Torah. And I had to go through this process to remind myself of what I had argued this summer, is that you can have all the toys in the world, you can have all the greatest technology in the world, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't enrich your Torah, then it may in fact take away from it. And what I found is that I had too much going on. I had too many different switches, too many different buttons, too many different interfaces, and it was complicating my workflow so that I couldn't share the Torah that I wanted to. And so I decided I gotta stay. Now what I have, I was gonna say I have to stay simple. What I have is not simple, but I have to stay simpler than just adding the newest shiny thing. And I think that's a really important lesson that we all need to remember, is that I was just talking the other day with a congregation who's looking to plan for when they're back in the sanctuary, what should their technology look like? And we were debating between PTZ cameras, which are, the pan, tilt, zoom cameras, the ones you can kind of control remotely, versus regular mirrors cameras. And I argued then, and I needed to be reminded of this, that sometimes simpler is better. Pan, tilt, zoom cameras are wonderful, but there are more things in there to break. If you can get just a plain old mirrorless camera or a high quality video camera or webcam, those may do the job. If your Torah is good enough, if your Torah is compelling enough, if your Torah is interesting enough, then whatever camera you have will help get that across. Now, of course, we want to have the best technology that we can, but that doesn't mean that we have to buy the newest thing. That doesn't mean we have to have every bell and whistle. It means that we have to have what's going to help us share our Torah. We have to have the right tech for our great Torah. And I needed to be reminded of that when I was waiting eagerly for our new 810 mini and then boxed it right back up and sent it back. Is that even the fanciest toy in the world isn't necessarily going to make what I want to share better. Now, I do have some toys that I love, right? And you can find all of them over on my website. If you go to TorahTechGuy.com, you'll find all of the different tools and pieces of technology that I love, that I use all the time. You can find the websites and the apps that I use and all that stuff, and all that stuff is great. But I guess what I wanted to share with you very, very quickly today is don't get lost in the technology. If you're like me and you want the newest, shiniest thing, admit to yourself that you have that problem and don't be afraid to say, you know what, it's enough. I don't need that toy. Or I'm going to send this back. Or I'm going to sell this on eBay. Or I'm going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace because I want to make sure that the tools that I have, what I'm using, is really the best tools for my Torah. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about your Torah. It's not about the technology. The tech should just be a tool to help you get it out there. And that was a lesson that I had to learn again this week after almost a year of doing this work. I don't know if you found this helpful, but I wanted to share it with you because it was an important lesson for me to remind myself of. I hope you have a marvelous day. Visit me on TorahTechGuy.com. Get the greatest tech for your great Torah, and let's make a difference in this world, friends. I'll see you next time on Torah Tech Tips.